I think one of the things that's been really encouraging about what we've seen over the past several weeks has been how many churches are doubling down on really trying to identify and serve the most vulnerable in their communities. Obviously, with us being quarantined, many of us, and practicing social distance, I think that's a great way to show concern for our neighbors as who are particularly vulnerable. But there are a lot of neighbors who are immigrants and refugees in particular who are losing their jobs, who are in fear of losing their jobs, who work in critical industries. And oftentimes they don't know where to go. A lot of them will turn to World Relief. And so even though many of our physical offices in the US are currently closed, the services are continuing either through online or through apps. We're still communicating with many of our clients to make sure that they're connected with governmental offices and others where they can access some of these resources. But for many of the immigrants that we know that are losing their jobs and that don't know where their next paycheck is going to come from, I think it's a really challenging time for them. Our World Relief Seattle office, which is one of our largest offices, did actually something very interesting where they created a drive-through food pantry where they actually got produce from a refugee garden, and they set it up, and anyone who needed such produce could literally drive by and pick it up. And so I think it was just a great idea that our volunteers and our office had together to create this food pantry, and it was a way for churches to get involved as well, to think about those who would need groceries and produce during that time. So I think it's a time to get creative and knowing and thinking about the resources we already have and what does it mean to use those resources for some of the most vulnerable in our communities while still practicing social distance, which they obviously did. And so I think that's just a great example of again, serving our most vulnerable neighbors with the things that we already have. And I think especially during this time when we're a lot of times are by ourselves or just with our families, it's a good time to remember how much we do have and how it's still a time that we can still show concern for those who are most vulnerable around us.